What's going on YouTube? Back for another old school gameplay commentary talking about today is endless entertainment bad? So for an example, like I came back from a friend's house last Sunday after watching Venom 3 and then I ended up watching another 4 hours of YouTube before going to bed, which is pretty crazy. I could definitely I could have created like 20 more gameplay commentaries for YouTube instead and even drafted some more articles to publish on the other platform I create content on. And it's kind of crazy to think like consuming is really easy because it's a passive thing and doesn't require any creativity at all. And, it doesn't require much thought either. It's really easy to get caught up watching TV shows and movies and, personally when it comes to like video game stuff, like I have a lot of options to play. I have like Xbox, I got Switch, I got PC gaming, I got retro gaming with the Wii slash GameCube, which I mainly got if like friends come over to play like the old school Mario Karts and stuff like that. And I also recently this year I bought like a DS Lite, and with the DS Lite you got the Game Boy Advance included as well, being backwards compatible, which is awesome. And like even with the DS I got this year, I got like the a 208 in one cartridge, which you can buy off Amazon for like $30. So like it's pretty cheap to even like buy a lot of games in bulk like that, which is crazy. And then like speaking of like game sales and stuff and buying a lot of games, like I buy games on sale all the time, which is really easy for me to do. Just I add something new to my wish list, and pretty soon I buy it when it's on sale. I don't really buy that many games together. Like I typically, if I'm buying on Xbox, I buy like 1 to 2 games a month maybe together. If there's like a bundle I can get a good deal on, I do that as well. But it's just kind of crazy. I can just spend a lot of money pretty cheaply on video games, being like pretty popular form of entertainment as well. And then even speaking of video games, like there's infinite games with like loads of user created content. So I'm thinking of like Trackmania and like Mario Maker 2. It's really easy to again consume more entertainment, even though it is user created stuff. But also like I think like Trackmania and Mario Maker 2 are good examples of when you're not mindlessly consuming entertainment, you can be really creative too. You can make new tracks and make a new like super world in Mario Maker 2 and get really creative with what you're like building in your levels and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. And if you're not like constantly amused, there's a lot of creative things you can do. And like the streaming side of things, uh, like I have access to most streaming sites, and I've been recently watching the Fallout show lately on Amazon, and it's easy to binge watch that because there's a lot of good world building and good writing with that show. It keeps it interesting. I mean, obviously it's based on the video games as well, which I mean I do have some Fallout games, but I haven't really gotten into the franchise that much. I mean, I have Fallout New Vegas. I played a little bit of it. Couldn't really get into it because I couldn't even figure out how to get into like New Vegas. So I just like dropped the game. And then like I got some like Fallout games on Epic for free as well. And I mean, when it comes to like that type of stuff, I prefer like the Elder Scrolls stuff. And think about like the massive RPGs like Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Like there's so much content in the game that's hard to get bored of, like at all, like period. So you always find like new quests to do, new NPCs to interact with. Um, and you can engage the world, be engaging or engage with the world, and like not. It doesn't take much effort to do because you can just explore around, find a random NPC, a random quest, and not get bored at all. And I've been playing a lot of like Oblivion Remaster lately, which is very similar, I think, gameplay wise. Like they redid Oblivion in such a way that it plays a lot like Skyrim does, which I think is good. Um, and another topic on like is endless entertainment bad? Is like a lot of options for things like entertainment can like lead to like choice paralysis. So there's always that like idea that you can spend like hours scrolling on Netflix and not watch anything, when you'd probably be better off just like selecting something to watch instead of like wasting 2 hours scrolling, you know, doing nothing basically. And then like even after consuming long form content, it's pretty easy to like open up Facebook and Instagram and watch reels and shorts for a long time trying to find a good one. And after a while, like you end up spending like over half an hour on short form content. And then even then, like you could have like games on your phone, like I do. I got like COD Mobile, and I got like Mario Kart Tour on my phone, so it's pretty easy to, again, like constantly be entertained, constantly be like overstimulated, constantly like on that stuff. Um, and then I think something interesting to bring to the conversation of like the constant entertainment stuff is like, well, we live in a culture that also wants us to be like constantly productive, and I'd say toxic hustle culture. And I don't really think that hustle culture, I mean, it can be good, but it can also be bad as well. Um, and then like I don't think burnout's good for you when it comes to like hustling all the time, and you know you shouldn't be working yourself to the bone for somebody who's taking advantage of you either. So I mean, yeah. And then like boredom is also like good for creativity because it forces you to come up with new ideas. And take for example, like if you're writing a paper or something, it's best to just free write first and then like trim the fat out later. And you can also use boredom to practice being creative and come up with new ideas that way. And YouTube is definitely a platform that I think rewards creativity very well, and compare that to like your job or something. Like your job's not going to reward your creativity. They're not going to reward you for coming up with new ideas to save the company money. Like they're probably just going to end up firing you for that. Whereas like YouTube and like writing blogs and articles, you're actually rewarded for your creativity. A lot of people could find your work and like resonate with it and like what you had to say. And yeah, I don't know. I think creativity, boredom, and entertainment is like an interesting subject to talk about because we have so much of it nowadays. And it's crazy that I can go to come back home from my friend's house after watching Venom 3 and then watch another 4 hours of content when like theoretically I could have made like another 20 videos with that time. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing to think about. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's all I have to say. I don't think endless entertainment is necessarily bad, but we're also living in like a culture that doesn't reward uh like creativity and stuff either, unless it's on like YouTube or whatever. And your job isn't going to reward your creativity. And like, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like rambling on now, so probably just stop here. If you found any value in what I had to say, or if you have any questions or comments, and if you liked what I had to say, and I'd like to see a discussion maybe. I don't know. Just have a good one.